And we're back. Part shelf is filling up. Obviously, you know, most of this is the old stuff, right? That is all new gaskets. Some new parts showed up. And here is the bad motor. All right, so I didn't really film this. I had a buddy come over the other night and we ripped the engine out. I'll put 2 pictures up right here. That's like the only pictures that I got, really. We were just hanging out, having a couple brews, pulled it in like 2 hours. So we drained the oil. There's definitely a little bit of flakes in it. I mean, I've seen way worse. There wasn't nearly as many flakes in there as I thought. And so I was, you know, sad pulling it out because obviously, you know, I had done a lot of work to it. I've rebuilt the head twice. It's got ARP head studs, the chromatic gasket, all new valves, pretty much every seal you can imagine other than the little oil pan half moons. I mean, a lot of time, paint, you know, I painted the head. It looked great. So I was sad to see it go, but we got us another engine. So this is a 150,000 mile engine. It wasn't this clean. I pressure washed it. It was literally disgusting. But I hit up a shop pretty local to me. They had a running, driving 1.6 car come in that they were gonna do a 1.8 swap on. So showed up there. The car was running when I got there. You know, I revved it up, made sure it's exactly what I wanted, and then I helped the shop owner pull it. So yeah, this is the donor motor. All right, so I don't want to bore you guys too much. The direction for this build, we are going to be doing rods only. So at this point, I've spent too much money on this car. Maybe not too much, but a lot of money anyway. And to do fully forged, right? The parts aren't necessarily the expensive part. It's the machine work. You spend $1,500 on parts. You know, forged pistons, forged rods, oil pump, new bearings. You know, that's over $1,500 really. The machine shop bill for that's probably going to be $2 grand, $1,500, $2 grand, maybe even more. So we're going to be doing rods only. That is the reason that I went with a running engine. You know, I very easily could have taken the one that I blew up. Could have very easily taken that, you know, had it line board, you know, got oversized bearings, this, that, and the other, but we would be $4,000 or $5,000 deep into a 30-year-old 1.6 liter Mazda engine. Doesn't really make sense. And deep down, I really want to do fully forged, but I just can't do that. So we're gonna be doing it ourselves here in the garage. And yeah, we're just waiting on more parts to show up. So like I said, the rod's already here. There's obviously 4 in here, you know. Yeah, this is the first piece of mini for the new build. Okay, so full disclosure, I've already taken a good bit of this apart. I threw it back together just so it wouldn't rust. You can see head gasket, there's the head bolts. There's only 3 bolts holding a valve cover on. There's only 4 bolts holding the oil pan on. We're gonna go ahead and get this torn down as much as we can. So head's coming off. It's going on this workbench. You can see I've got it all cleaned off. We're gonna need to start disassembling the head, but tonight I would like to rip the rotating assembly out and sort of just check over the pistons and the ring lands and everything. So let's get to work. Not quite as good as I wanted. The crank looks fine, but check out these bearings. So we're gonna save the best for last. 4, you can see here, bearings look fine, nothing's wrong with them. Ring lands are good on all the pistons, which is the main thing. And 3 is also fine. 2, right, looks fine, nothing crazy. And then we get to cylinder number 1. What the fuck? How? I don't understand. And that is where that bad bearing was. And I know that it looks really bad, but if I wipe the oil off of this one, right, They all have lines in them. Fingernail doesn't grab. Crank still spins perfectly fine, right? This is obviously, there's no hot spots on it, right? It's not turned blue or anything, but I don't even know how that happens. I mean, it feels fine. There's nothing there. Now I'm all worried. Dadgummit. This car's gonna kill me, man. I guess I'm gonna need to have machine work done anyways. You know, I was already gonna have the block decked and the head resurfaced, but I think I'm gonna take the crank to them as well and see if they'll see if they can polish that out. I can't grab it with my fingernail, but cylinder 1, obviously, that bearing is just destroyed, and that part of the crank does look worse than cylinders 2, 3, and 4. So I'm hoping they'll just be able to polish it out, but I just can't catch a break, man. This was pulled out of a running driving car. How? How? Well, crank is out. Story's not much better for the main bearings. It's actually not better at all. So whenever, I guess that rod bearing went, it fucking sent metal through the oil. So you see that is trashed. That one's trashed, 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 and trashed. So that is, I'm so glad I spent money on a running motor. I should have just used my freaking blown up one because it's probably in the same shape as this one. I mean, I haven't taken the crank out yet, but yeah, so that whole thing I'm gonna have to go get polished, I guess. Hope the tolerances aren't out too bad. Nobody has main bearings in stock, so I gotta figure that out. That's fun. Okay, so out of pure desperation, tearing down my blown up block. Got this one off the stand, wherever it is. So now I'm gonna manhandle this, my blown up one on the stand, and we're gonna pull pistons out of that one real quick and see. All right, the engine's way over here, so I don't think my engine stand's gonna fit through this gap. I mean, it's not terribly heavy, but I guess we'll see, won't we? Okay, so I'm holding the phone backwards. I usually have the screen on me. Anyways, that was all one take. I had to clean my hands with that, which is, anyway, that was all one take. I have no idea if this was even on me the whole time, but my cylinder walls look better than that one. These are my pistons, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the rod bearings. All of them look good, right? Number 2 here, this one's a little questionable. Main bearings, right? They all look good. Number 3 here, a little questionable. 0 marks on the crank, nothing. Crank looks immaculate. And then we get over here. These pistons are trashed, you know, bearings are shot. Crank has lines in it. Like, look at this bearing. This is from main bearing number, or the main cap number 1. Look at how deep those scratches are. It's insane. Like, look. This was pulled out of a running car. When I got to the shop, this engine was running. Sounded fine. This was my engine that I ran with 0 PSI of oil pressure. Literally, the oil filter was blocked. For 8 minutes I drove, plus I let it idle in the driveway for a couple minutes. 0 oil was circulating in the engine, and somehow mine looks better. So I guess buying that other motor was a waste. The only reason that it might have been an okay purchase was if my head is trashed, I took one of the cam caps off and it did look like it had some scoring in it. I haven't yet tore into the new head here. That's really gonna be the only way, but even then, a head with cams you can buy for $200 or $300, so. May have just wasted money on an entire motor that I was planning on building that probably isn't gonna get built in the first place. I should have just taken mine apart before I hastily went and bought. I blew the motor up on a Monday. I went and bought that running engine on a Wednesday. I should have taken the time and taken mine apart and inspected it, because then I wouldn't have wasted $700. But anyway, on that bombshell, that's all we got time for. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.